Well, hello there. Welcome to day 95 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. And today I am looking at a film that I've wanted to watch for a good year now. A film that came up in a lot of discussions of the best of 2020 and great horrors of recent years. That is the Rose Glass directorial debut, St. Maud. And yes, it really genuinely lives up to the hype. It is, it's another demonstration of a turning point in my perspective of our look at the horror genre and the best ways of creating a modern sense of horror and thriller. So the story follows what are they called? A hospice nurse named Maud, who, after some unspoken tragedy or incident in her life, has recently converted to Roman Catholicism and has been charged with the care of a dying dancer and choreographer named Amanda. And this has the great hallmarks of that Hitchcockian thriller structure to it. I kept thinking of films that from both recently and classically that really relate to the style of this film. I mean, from the off, you get that real Sunset Boulevard, the idea of an older, minor celebrity. Even the film itself references that Amanda was a minor celebrity, glamour type person who is now in their declining years and in this case, rapidly declining. Who is then faced off against or set against someone who is really trying to define themselves through something, through purpose, through a new driven purpose. Now of course, in Sunset Boulevard, it's because he's a writer and he's trying to find that story that will give him definition. And in Maud's case, it's because of her new belief. But really, other than that sort of premise to it, this really plays into that sense of isolation and the psychological deterioration of people that, like I say, that contemporary horror really has tapped into. I mean, I was getting a real vibe of the films that came to mind were films like The Babadook and His House. Now, of course, His House has only come out a few months ago, but there is an irony to the fact that both of these films explore the idea of people trapped within their homes in one way or another. And sort of the consumptive and erosive power of your own home. There's the structure of this really has that sense of decline and deterioration and erosion to it. They're both Maud and Amanda are characters who are trapped in this nowhere town, and both of them, I mean, Maud particularly has this sense that she's being held back from a greater purpose in a place that's just simply holding her there, and she recognises the same for Amanda, but of course for wildly different reasons. And you get that sense of two people who are being eroded in this setting, this town, and their homes that are just these rotting, practically, environments, as they themselves are slowly rotting away as people. And there's something very sensory about this film. There's something very almost tactical, almost like you can feel the texture of it, and you can, every sound is placed in a way to give you that sense of discomfort. It does really well in creating. The film is primarily from the perspective of Maud, and you really get that sense of disorientation and the use of light and colour and sound and that claustrophobia to really get the sense of confusion in a person. As I say, it's ironic that His House and St Maud came out when they did, considering that there was no way that the films in Inception would have any idea that they would reflect so closely the modern times that we're in. But there is that sense of entrapment and the idea that of being held back and held down. In Amanda's case, someone who's literally being, who's stuck in a paralyzing state. The film seems to have this obsession with body parts, particularly relating to the back. Of course, in Amanda's case, she has a cancer of the spine, relating, in a subtextual way to the fact that she was a dancer, and there are shots of legs and arms and limbs, and there's something quite, I don't know, something quite gross about the way that human bodies are being presented, almost like almost in an alien sense, that we are becoming alien to, as well as being isolated and trapped in these places, we are becoming disassociated with our own bodies. And the other film that I kept, the film that I've most got a relationship to this was the film which I honestly think is a classic, of a modern classic, which is The Witch. And of course, The Witch is very much about text and subtext, what is happening through the perspectives of the characters and what's happening in reality. And this film uses very similar methods of exploring the idea of what's real and what's not, but also, we're being given information through conversation or being overheard, even through things like the television, things that we're picking up that we don't really understand the context for. And what makes this haunting and anxiety-inducing is the fact that you don't know which aspects of this film you're supposed to be, which aspects are foreshadowing and which aspects are playing into a greater narrative. You genuinely have no idea where this is going. I mean, the Babadook of it that I relate to really has that sense of, you don't really even know who's the threat and who's the victim between Amanda and Maud, and you're constantly changing your perspective on, who is dangerous in relation to the other. And it's a really good character piece. Outside of the trappings of horror, it is a very good... You could have taken this script and with some subtle changes made it a really solid character drama, but all it took was a certain directorial style to give it that visceral sense of horror and haunting and something that leaves you chilled and anxious. And again, that's all through the directing, all through the sound design, all through the cinematography, the use of the angles that really disorientate you, so you're constantly looking at things from perspectives that you aren't used to, sort of looking at people and scenes. And as I say, this is another prime example of horror really being used in a new way. You know, that sort of neo horror style that we're getting. You know, I say recently. I mean, like I say, The Witch was 5 years ago, but you know, in the last decade, we've really seen that turning point where, you know, and you could give it credit to, you know, A24 or a Blumhouse, and the fact that they've invested in directors who want to use the genre to explore the themes of isolation, of faith, of deterioration and terminal illness. And you know, again, the horror genre is a great method for exploring these complicated themes of humanity and, you know, the things that we are afraid of that we don't really have the ability to explain. Like I say, the character drama is a phenomenal part of it, and Morpeth Clark and Jennifer Ely, are both great in this, but particularly Morpeth Clark. You know, she is a very expressive actor, and really, you are constantly looking at her and seeing layers of expression and non-verbal communication in ways that, you know, you might not fully understand what she's trying to relay, but you know that there is a lot going on when she talks to people or is having interactions, or even by herself. You know, there is something in her face that is just expressing so much, and again, the actress really lifts this up. It's a very powerful performance. But yeah, I genuinely think this was great. I completely understand why people hailed this last year. I'm sure that this is the film that probably merits watching and re-watching, because I don't think even I, on this watch, got all of the... I was watching out for foreshadowing and for subtext and deeper meanings behind things, but I am sure that there is layers upon this that, you know, you could get greater and deeper readings from, probably with a greater knowledge of theology perhaps, and relating to sainthood and the stages of sainthood. I think there is a subtext of that somewhere throughout this narrative, but my knowledge isn't there, and I think that's another great thing about this, that if you bring a certain amount of knowledge and understanding to it, it adds another layer to the film. But it doesn't matter if you don't, because you know something is going on, and you know, and on a superficial level, you were able to understand this. You just have that lingering sense of meaning behind it. No, I genuinely think this is great. I genuinely think this is a fantastic film, and it's a great way to start this week as I work my way through these films in the build up to the BAFTA live stream on Friday. So, speaking of, I will say, as I have said in other videos, Sunday will be I will be live streaming during the BAFTA ceremony, so please join me. I've put links to other videos on my Twitter and on the YouTube channel. And if you could, please like this video. If you've liked it, please subscribe to the channel and go through some of the older videos. Please click that bell if you want to get notifications when new videos are coming up. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan_Woodley, where I'm posting trailers and news and, of course, links to new uploads every day. Thank you for joining me. Take care.